everyone. So, Your Friends and Neighbors Season 2 Episode 6 deliver one of the series' most emotional and deeply human episode so far by stepping away from big drama and focusing almost entirely on grief, family, and the strange rituals surrounding death. Title for everything else there was bowling. This episode becomes less about plot progression and more about the universal experience of losing someone close to you. At the center of the episode is Coop, played by John Hamm, dealing with the aftermath of his father Ron's death. But what makes the episode so powerful is how ordinary everything feels. Instead of dramatic speeches or exaggerated emotional breakdown, the story focuses on uncomfortable, awkward, and often absurd reality of funerals, grieving, families, from arguments over cascades and the flowers to the funeral director constantly upselling expensive services. The episode perfectly captures how death has become intertwined with performance and consumerism. Everyone processes grief differently, and those differences immediately create tension. One family member wants everything to look perfect, another doesn't care at all, and someone else is horrified by the cost of spending thousands of dollars on funeral tradition that feel meaningless. The episode argues that modern funerals often become more about appearance than truly honoring the dead. And yet, beneath all the awkwardness and frustration, there's an understanding that people cling to these rituals because death itself is so difficult to process. Grief leaves people searching for control, comfort, or distraction, and sometimes spending money or obsessing over details become the easiest way to avoid confronting the permanence of loss. Much of that emotional chaos is embodied through Marley, Coop's mother. Her behavior swings between controlling, inappropriate, emotional, and strangely practical all at once. One minute she is criticizing caterers, the next she is giving away household items and redecorating the house immediately after her husband's death. It feels messy and irrational, but that's exactly why it feels authentic. The episode understands that grief rarely looks graceful in real life. Meanwhile, Coop experiences a quieter emotional journey. Unlike his sister Ali, who discovers proof of her father's love through saved childhood artwork and old music CDs, Scoop spends much of the episode trying to understand who his father really was beyond being dad. That search becomes especially painful when he finds the expensive Cartier cufflinks he once gave Ron sitting unused in a drawer. Coop realizes the gift said more about his own ego and success than what about his father actually valued. Even though Ron never wore them, he still kept them close among his most meaningful possessions. That detail becomes one of the episode's central emotional ideas. Sometimes the value of a gift isn't in its usefulness, but in what it represents emotionally. The episode's most powerful revelation comes through bowling. Coop discovers that his father secretly maintained a long friendship with a woman named Elaine through an old bowling league connection. Though Elaine through Elaine, Coop learns a completely different side of Ron, thoughtful, reflective, man who carried worries about his son and quietly searched for peace and companionship outside the family. Elaine's story fundamentally reshaped Coop's understanding of his father. Ron worried that Coop was constantly chasing a version of happiness that might never satisfy him. He saw his son as someone always pushing for more instead of appreciating the life already around him. That realization changes something inside Coop. By the end of the episode, instead of participating fully in the formal funeral tradition, he honors his father in a much more personal way by picking up Ron's bowling ball and going to the lanes. It's a small moment, but it becomes incredibly meaningful because Coop is finally connecting with who his father truly was rather than the idealized image he carried for years. What makes the episode resonate so strongly is that it understands grief doesn't just involve mourning someone's absence, it also involves discovering things about them which you were not aware previously after they are gone. Sometimes beautiful things, sometimes painful things, but always things that force you to reevaluate both them and yourself. The episode also subtly suggests that death can unexpectedly deepen relationship rather than simply ending them. Through Ellen's memories and gestures, the stories shared during the wake, Coop gains a richer understanding of his father, who he really was, and that he may have had while Ron was alive. In the end, for everything else, there was bowling stands out because it avoids melodrama and instead focuses on emotional truth. It captures the strange mix of love, resentment, humor, awkwardness, regret, hate, nostalgia that comes with losing a parent. And through John Hamm's restrained but deeply vulnerable performance, the episode becomes less about death itself and more about the people left behind trying to figure out what someone's life truly meant. Thank you for watching. Bye.